it's building up to the one that I want. So we want a voting system. Okay, we want to vote, let's say for class rep. But then this class rep, it's in like the class rep is coming from the list of students, right? So we already know that if it's coming from a list of students, that means like for you to be a class rep, you must be a student. So already you are a student, you are just like any other student, but we need to vote for you. And then who's voting is the same students. So students will vote. Students will vote. But then you can vote for a class rep of a different class, right? So you'll be voting based on your class, right? Check here. Okay. Right. All right. So that's basically what's going to be happening. So based on C# or based on programming or P1, we need to identify a list of classes that is going to help us to also identify how many tables should we create, because classes will turn up to be tables at the end of the day. So the first one that I'm picking up here is that we'll have what we call like the classes themselves, right? Let's say powerful, what, you know, based on the name of the classes. From there, we will then have students as one of the classes as well. So classes and then students. So I think basically this is the tool that we need, wherein you will be, so when you vote, you to make it simpler for us, when you log into the system, oh, I forgot, you must log in. Okay, so there must be user management inside. So in corporate world, this information are not really given. That's why I'm saying this is a full stack development program. So what happens is when you're meeting a client, what they will discuss is, I just want a system that people can vote. All of this is dissected based on our knowledge, right? You don't just, it doesn't just pop up. You don't ask a client these questions, right? You only go back with feedback to say, based on what you told me, this is what I've picked up, like meetings per meetings. So let's say, for example, a startup company will make sure that they get as much information as they want immediately in the first meeting, because as a startup company, you can't afford to meet 5 times a week before even a project can start. You don't have that money, right? You want to meet today, tomorrow you're coming back with a prototype. Unlike, let's say, a company like Discovery. If Discovery is meeting a client, they will make sure they take you to a hotel, you meet this month. They want a project from you, right? You meet this month, next month you're still meeting. The project has not even started. It's all meeting, it's all just fun, it's just vibing. But they want to make sure that, because they have the funds to do that, they can meet you, have drinks, they discuss the project, 30 minutes, they meet you next week, 30 minutes. Project is not even started. But then once the project starts, you will also feel it on your side that the invoice of this project, it's much heavier than the invoice you're going to get from a startup. So the mindset of us should be that mindset of a startup, wherein when you're meeting someone that's doing a project, it must be easier for you to just dissect everything even before you meet a client. You must have that programming mindset. Okay, so all of this, we're going to achieve it we're using .NET framework, right? So let's list the tools. Some of them I might not remember them now, but whenever we are using them, I will come back. So this is something you will put also on your CV. You don't just use tools and you can't put on your CV. So the first tool we're going to use the Azure, right? On Azure, we are going to be utilizing SQL. We're going to be using, let's list them directly. SQL Server. We are also going to be using SQL database. We are going to be utilizing, it might be stupid, but it's very important, resource groups. We are also going to be utilizing app service plan, quick one. Currently to review quickly. Latest one. Apa petrol send achikuvula. Oh, I only check. Oh, pro forma. Okay, go. Okay, and you go over here 1050. Cause Ozube of this one is no. You can divide the same details, ne? Okay. Yeah. Kana mbai pangelia for nenga pastoral for the losika for go collect. Hey, yeah, for next time the one who's go dish. Shiruna balance yanga. Alright, thank you. Sharp. Right, back to our things. So, app service plan, right? I think I did explain the other time that this is what I will try to explain each and every step later on. From there, we'll also utilize what we call the app service itself. So from Azure, if there's anything I'm gonna add, I will come and add here, right? Let's move out of Azure now. Let's look into other tools because I did say this is full stack. So down here offline, we're gonna be using Visual Studio, right? And in most corporate, you must mention the vision, you must mention the year, which build are using, whether it's professional community, you must mention that in like project scope, right? You can't just, because sometimes other .NET framework, when we release products, those information are required. Like a company will have a template on what should you list, like the version and things like that. How long it is going to take you. You must have estimation, right? So if it was corporate, let's say me, I'm front-end developer, right? I will mention that we're delegating Tendo to become the front-end developer. We're going to delegate Teddy to do this, and Terence will focus on this, right? And this is the account for the GitHub and what. I don't want to use GitHub today. It's going to take time. So we're going to utilize Visual Studio. I don't want to utilize SQL, the offline one, the system that I've installed here, because we're going to be using the Azure one. So I don't want to utilize that one. Notepad is something we're already using. So Notepad++, something we're also utilizing. Okay. And then those are the tools, right? And then what other things am I missing? I don't know. What should we call this? We're utilizing C#. What should we call this? And the language we're utilizing is SQL database. These are not tools. I forgot what they are. They are not really programming languages, but they've got a certain category. If I remember it, I'll come back and list what are these for. But these are the other two I'm thinking of. Okay. So this is it. This is the project. These are the tools. These are the what. In the corporate world, this document could be as many as 100 pages. You are with me, ne? Because from the top here, you're going to be listing the problem statement, the purpose of the project, but there's usually templates that you follow for these things. So you don't necessarily have to write 100 pages, right? You just go there, edit the author, edit what, timestamp. The budget is also involved in those things. How long it's going to take. If it's being done in sprints, you choose the model, the SDLC. You guys have done those things, right? Software development lifecycle. Okay, so where am I starting with my project? I will start randomly. Let's say Visual Studio. I'm starting on Visual Studio, hopefully still recording. So I'm starting on Visual Studio. Close those which are not necessary. So on Visual Studio, I want to start by creating a new project. And this project will be an ASP.NET web application. My Visual Studio has got some issues. Or is it my machine? Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna be using ASP.NET Web Application. In brackets, it has got .NET Framework. This is one of the template I mostly use. We're gonna avoid the the model view controller part for now. So let's call this voting system. That will be the name of the app. Just hit create there. You can see the framework is choosing, it's 4.7.2, right? This one also has effect later on. On the template itself that it wants me to choose, I'm going to choose MVC. On authentication, because of this part, where's the part I'm talking about? Because of user management, right? Because of this part, I also have to make sure that on authentication, so that it's there, I'm going to choose individual accounts. This will allow me to have that part. Then hit create. While this is happening here, as I said, we're going to move now to Azure. Okay. Now, you've already seen what we're doing on Azure. On Azure, we're going to have to create SQL, but based on that nice order here that we talked about the other time. So I already have my 10th of August subscription happening. I'm just going to have to go to resource group and see what do I have. Okay, there's no resource group so far. I'm going to create a new one. I did tell you that to save money, every day you leave, delete the resource group. Whether the app was nice or something like that, make sure you delete the resource group, so that if you really want the app, you can just redo it tomorrow. So this one, I'm doing one, let's say for dynamic, right? I don't want to write DNA, so this one is being accepted. The region for this one, not really important for now. It's gonna sit at East US. I did tell you this one doesn't have much effect. So I'm done with a resource group. I'm gonna duplicate this page so that you track down what did we do. So we did a resource group, right? First thing, because you must have a folder to save all of your things. Next thing up, I wanna start with the heavier one. So I'm gonna start with SQL Server, right? It's much heavier, that one. So I'm gonna create an SQL Server. Okay, there we go. As you can see, it's gonna sit on my subscription on the resource group I created. The server name, let's call it voting. Let's see if it's going to be accepted. Okay, I'm gonna have to say minus system. Maybe this will work. Okay, this one is being accepted. Remember, it must confine, because this is a global name, right? It must confine to not existing, no capital letters and things like that. So it's also sitting at East US. So this looks like, oh, that is Visual Studio. So I already have some stuff I prefer here, like the username and password. They're already there. There we go. This is to log into the server, right? I'm not doing anything much here. Review, create, done. Okay. While this is happening, I'm also going to duplicate this page. Okay, not this one. Maybe this one. On this one, it's going to take me to Azure again, resource groups. But I don't want resource groups. This, because for the SQL database to be ready, I must wait for the server to finish. So while waiting for that, I'm going to go for app service. But not, I can't use app service until I have the app service plan. App service plans. Okay, so you start there. I don't have any plans, and I did tell you, like, the plan is like a container where you're gonna put your apps inside, right? So it identifies how much you're gonna be paying for each app, how fast the app should run. You know, all those settings are found on the app service plan. So subscription is there. Choose the resource group that is already there. Name for my plan, voting plan. Okay, it's going to be based on Windows. The region is Central US. I'm happy. I'm just going to change the size, as I showed you the other time, to put it dev and test. Choose the dev and test. Choose the free one. Apply it. And don't mind if I'm moving fast. All this is on the it's being recorded. So review create. It's now 11, so by 11:30 I must be done with this app. Still reviewing, then I'm going to be creating. Hopefully this is done. You see, now this is done. So I can go to this resource. Okay, duplicate again while this one is busy. So this time around I can start with the database, right? Because the server is completed. You can see now I'm looking for SQL databases. There's no SQL database so far. I'm going to create one. Okay, from there, database name, I'm going to call it voting, because this one doesn't have to be, a global name. I think it will be accepted. It's sitting as is on that specific server I designed called voting system. Do you want to use SQL Elastic Pool? No. We can configure the storage here, how big our databases should be. As you can see here, you can change the sizes, you can change the cost, and all that. I am happy with the current things that are happening there, so I don't want to change anything so far. So I'm just going to close this one and say use geo-redundant. I am accepting the geo-redundant. But you know what? I think let's reduce this one because it could be pretty much expensive. Let's reduce this one. But it looks like it's the smallest one. What have they done to database configuration here? Okay, maximum size. Put it at the lowest. Apply. I'm still not happy with this configuration. Something has been done on Azure. It used to allow us to, okay, there's no elastic pool. It used to allow us to like even choose whether this should be free or something like that. But now, oh yes, there we go. I found it. So it has been changed, the design. Okay, so you see this one now. If you choose for basic, that means you just want a simple database like this. We are not expecting so much data. But then you can go for high demand. You see this one is based on the cost of the computer. I'm choosing the basic one, and the size it's saying 2 GB. I can even reduce it to 500 megabyte, I think. I think this will be 500 megabyte. Apply this one. Yeah, 500 megabyte. This is the cheapest I can get. You see here it's saying 6,000. It's supposed to change to like 100 Rand or 90 Rand very soon, if you just give it some time. There you see, now it's cheaper, it's 90 Rand estimated cost per month, unlike that one for 7,000 we're in. So this one, even if you like the app, you see all the cost here, we can estimate by next week, it will still be less than 50 Rand that we've consumed, including all this SQL, all these other tools we're going to be using. So I'm happy with these settings. I'm now setting it up. Okay, the app service plan, I think it's also completed. You can see, né? So that means now we can create the app service. Okay, I think that is the last thing on Azure. I know it's complicated. You move here, you do this, but then you do this a couple of times, it gets to your head immediately. App service. Let's type app there. App services. Okay, now there's no app services so far. Hit create. Okay, the resource group for this, same resource group, same subscription. The app name, because this one, this is like the website, right? So let's call it dynamic DNA voting. Okay, let's hope it's accepted. That one is accepted. Runtime stack, you must select. So I'm gonna go with .NET, the early access, right? Which simply means that it's going to be based on Windows. You can see that it immediately picked the app service plan that I created there, which is the free version. Here, if I hit next, because there's something here, sometimes it pops out, especially on monitoring. Okay, this one is disabled. Let me check monitoring. Monitoring is like when your website is live. Do you want? You can see here. Application inside. Okay. So our subscription doesn't have. I don't think it's the subscription. I think it's the is the .NET early access, the 6.0. That one does not yet support the what we call application insight. Application insight is like, it's an it's an app sitting aside watching your app, what's happening in your app, right? So it will be watching our website, who's clicking where, what, catching all of those things, and you can get notification in terms of what was happening in your website. It keeps the logs and all that. So it could be quite important for some people. Okay, there we go. I think everything according to Azure should be done now. Database is done. Server is done. So I have listed 5 things there, and I think we exactly have 5 things. Server, the database, resource group, we started with it. App service plan, then we hit the app service. So we're done on that side. All we need now is to get, I think, to Visual Studio and start with our system. Okay, we're now in Visual Studio. Just to scroll down, we might not even need properties, but we're going to be using MVC. So first thing first, build your application. This is very important on MVC, because there are tools that are there by assumptions, and if you don't build it immediately, those tools can disappear as you program, right? It's I don't know why it happens like that, but you just have to build your application on first go. Rebuild and see if ever you're gonna get any errors. One thing it does when you are rebuilding is that it looks at all the imports. Do you have all those imports on your system? If they're not there, it's gonna deal with it. It's gonna install them immediately as it's building, right? So that you don't say after writing all of your code, you say build, it says fatal error, missing a package, and you try to install it, your system has crashed after spending all that time coding. You just accept some meetings as these things are happening. Women's, why are we being invited to Women's Month? Yeah. We agree, we love women. I thought this was just about women. But yeah, I'm happy to attend. Okay, you see now it has succeeded. So everything, I'm happy about it. It should work. So next up is let's look, or let's revisit how this app looks like. So if you immediately run it, this is also another good step. After building, immediately run it. This is to prepare your browser for this app, so that there's already that link. You don't want to run it when you already have functions and what. You want to run it now so that there's already that local host connectivity that has been established between the two. Okay, here's our local host sitting at our port there, 44335. So it's going to load the template. We're going to see how it looks like, and I'm going to tell you what we're going to remove so that we can start our project. I don't normally like to start a project when it has not been changed. I want to make sure that it changes and it has got our own style. Now, while this one is loading, I want to show you something, guys. This comes from experience, obviously. Okay, everything here seems like it's done. Is done. Okay, everything is done. Go to resource. There we go. So everything here seems like we are good. Okay, I'll show you something. This is for every year. I do this every year. MVC, change my view background color. This is that black thing you're gonna see on the app when it loads, that black color. So there's usually an answer here, which is very good. You see this one with 49. Stack Overflow, you must become members of Stack Overflow. You can see me here. I've got 1 vote there. Someone voted for my answer. So I'm gonna highlight this for now and copy it. We're gonna need it just now. This app Yeah, you see, what I want to change is, I want to remove this big thing. You see this big gray thing, which says ASP.NET. I'm going to remove it. These three things as well, I might just change what is written inside, né? And their buttons. Even at the top, I'm going to change all of these things there. Like even this black color, I want to change. So the code I just copied now is to change this black color. Obviously based on experience. I know that's where you find it. Spend a lot of time trying to find that code. Never found it. So there we go. We're starting on front end. So we change those things inside the views. A view called home. Inside the view called index. Let's open our index. Immediately close this. And that big gray thing, it's sitting on this thing called the Jumbotron. Out. Now you can see, né? Out. This getting started, I can just say students. On the other one, I can say this is classes. And this is now pure HTML. Nothing to be scared about. Manage students from this student by clicking the button. How do I write button? Okay, I will do the same here. It's very crazy on this one. I don't know why it's placed like that. Okay, manage classes by clicking the button. Okay, I'm gonna make sure that our hrefs takes us nowhere. You guys know HTML, like basic web things. If you don't familiarize yourself with HTML, so this learn more, might just say click me. Here, just so our app is not the same as the way we found it. Okay, click here. So the one I was telling you about, I think we find it under content. Yes, content. Is it bootstrap.css? I think that's the one with a lot of lines. So I'm gonna hit Control Find here, and I'm gonna look for okay, and background color, I just want to change it to white. No, let me change it to orange, in fact, dark orange. Now it's time to see if what I've done make any sense. I'm still coming, but I just want to see if you'll see now. It won't take that much time to open because I've already loaded this app before, right? Come on, app, come on. Do the things which you're supposed to do. Okay, I'm not really happy with the orange color, but at least you're seeing what I was trying to do, right? But that's where we are headed. So now I'm gonna try to change all of these top things, but you see even the footer here, I'm not really happy with it. Okay, so all that now doesn't have anything to do with the home screen. I think it's under the shared layout. I think that's where we are. So at the top there, instead of saying this is the title, instead of saying that, I can just say dynamic DNA. That will be the title for everything. Home, index, what. So I want to remove this. This should be the one to say voting. Okay, that is the writing there. And I will no longer have home. I would rather have students. I will no longer have about. I rather have classes. So I don't need the other link. I will come back and deal with why I'm making changes like this. Yo, PC. Okay, even here, dynamic DNA, product of dynamic DNA. You'll be so surprised at how cool this can look. Okay, I was not really happy with that thing, that color. So same place, that dark orange. I'm trying to imagine a color that will come out nice with white behind it. I think it should be dark blue, dark green. Hey, you see, this thing now needs ladies. Because till now we're color blind, obviously. Right. See the changes I've made. Now we're going to start programming. Hopefully it's not going to take more time. I don't want the video to be very long. Oh, this is much better, né? Much better color. I mean, when you go around it, it's going to highlight. But from my screen, just that there, it's a little bit losing a lot of color. From my screen, the color is much better. You know, these buttons are not yet taking us anywhere. They're just right here. But I want to click here so far, or here, because I know it's going to redirect us somewhere. But so far, so good. I'm happy. Yeah? So I'm going to end the first part of the video right here.